a political giant who took on the mob.
This was one of the great political stunts of New York City's history.
A mountain of sand that hides a Hollywood secret.
There's a rumor that a lost relic from another time still survives, buried under the sand.
And a Victorian home with a haunting tale of possession.
This was their daughter inside of another girl's body.
Sometimes the greatest secrets lie in plain sight. These are Monumental Mysteries.
On the New England coastline, surrounding the busiest port in Massachusetts, is one of America's oldest cities, Boston. With its rich revolutionary history, it has become known as the Cradle of Liberty. But one monument here epitomizes modern democracy in action.
And it has a beautiful brick front and is capped by a gold dome. And it is one of the earliest and most pristine examples of federal architecture in the nation.
Built in 1798, this is the Massachusetts State House. It's home to both the governor's office and the legislative chambers. But as tour guide Mark Linehan can attest, this polished pillar of politics was once at the center of an unusual abduction.
This majestic building found itself embroiled in a crisis that brought government to a standstill.
What embarrassing stunt left the State House reeling and prompted an unprecedented manhunt? April 26, 1933, Boston. The day's legislative sessions are at an end when a reporter working the late shift in the State House press room answers an unexpected call.
And on the other end, the voice tells him there's something missing from the State House, and then abruptly hangs up.
The startled journalist takes the bait and notifies security. And when the guard enters the House of Representatives chamber, he makes a shocking discovery.
Something very important is indeed missing. The sacred cod.
The sacred cod is a 5-foot-long wood carving of a codfish that has hung in the House of Representatives since 1798 as an unofficial good luck charm.
The sacred cod is representative of Boston's cod fishing industry, which is symbolic of our early prosperity and our success as a colony.
With this emblem of civic pride missing, the State House is locked down and the police are summoned.
The three questions police have right off the bat is who took it, why did they take it, but also how did they take it with no one noticing?
Angling for a lead, detectives investigate the fishy situation, but can't seem to catch a break. Then, 2 days later, a Harvard campus policeman named Charles Apted receives a mysterious phone call.
The voice tells him that if he wants the sacred cod back, he's got to drive to a park about 7 miles southwest of the center of town and to look for a car with no license plate.
In hopes of netting the crafty codnappers, Apted takes the bait. He speeds off to the park, where he indeed spots a car with no license plate.
But before he can even get out of his car to investigate, the car takes off, and Charles Apted immediately gives chase.
Believing he has his suspects on the hook, the policeman tails the mysterious vehicle for 20 minutes.
Charles Apted is able to overtake them and force them to stop.
As Apted leaps from his car, he sees 2 men get out of the other vehicle.
Their collars are upturned and their hats are pulled down, and they throw the sacred cod into his arms, and before he can react, they jump back into their car and take off.
Although the thieves get away, Apted is able to return the sacred cod to the Massachusetts State House. But the question remains, who were the codnappers? And why do they swipe the cherished symbol? A group of undergraduates thinks they know the answer. They believe the stunt might be the work of the famous college humor publication, the Harvard Lampoon. And when police investigate further, they discover that staff at the State House had seen two young men roaming inside the building on the day of the theft.
One of them was carrying this oversized flower box that had lilies sticking out of one end.
Detectives theorize that these young men were in fact Lampoon writers who broke into the chambers, clipped the wires of the sacred cod, and stowed their catch in the oversized flower box. Under questioning, however, the Lampoon writers are not forthcoming.
Hefty jail time. I'm talking a couple of years, man.
The police threaten them with fines, with jail time, but no matter what they try, the students are tight-lipped. And the police never end up having enough evidence in order to prosecute anybody for the crime of stealing the sacred cod.
But while the young comedians never own up to the stunt, they go on to pull off many other notorious pranks and eventually found the world-renowned National Lampoon. As for the sacred cod, it's rehung in its original spot, but with one distinction.
They raise it about 6 inches, so now it's inaccessible except by a stepladder.
To this day, the sacred cod has remained mercifully unmolested at the Massachusetts State House, suspended as a reminder of a fishy theft that helped spawn a comical legend. Toledo, Ohio is renowned for its contribution to the glassmaking industry, earning it the title, the glass capital of the world. But few are aware of the town's pioneering role in a very different arena, baseball. And in the shadows of the local ballpark is a modest marker that commemorates one of the sport's greatest unsung heroes.
The plaque is 8.5 feet tall, about 3.5 feet wide, with a brown background and yellow writing.
According to Professor Lisa Doris Alexander, this unassuming plaque celebrates a pioneer who is almost entirely absent from the history books.
Many think this trailblazing athlete should be credited for an amazing first.
So what is this forgotten hero's astonishing achievement? 1883, Toledo, Ohio. It's almost 2 decades since the Civil War ended slavery in the United States. Although the government has enshrined racial equality in the eyes of the law, in truth, public attitude lags behind.
Unfortunately, race relations in the United States have started to slip backwards a bit. It is not an easy time for Black people in the North or the South.
And professional baseball is no exception to this social injustice. But there is one ambitious player who has his mind set on playing for the major leagues. Known for his excellent catching ability and powerful throwing arm, his name is Moses Fleetwood Walker.
Walker was a highly intelligent man. He graduated from Oberlin College, then he attended the University of Michigan, where he played baseball.
Despite the color of Walker's skin, he gets the attention of his local minor league team.
The manager of the Toledo Blue Stockings signed Moses Fleetwood Walker
I want you to play for me.
to a contract, proving that he was more concerned with talent than race.
However, once on the team, Walker faces racist taunts, even from his own teammates.
There were some players that did not want to take signs from a Black catcher. So as a catcher, you have no idea what pitch is coming towards you at any time.
As if that's not enough, Walker is about to receive a curveball of the cruelest kind. August 1883. The Toledo Blue Stockings are scheduled to play an exhibition game against the Chicago White Stockings, whose manager is a man named Cap Anson.
Cap Anson was known for being very intimidating, very loud, and a generally unpleasant person.
When Anson arrives for the game, he takes one look at the Blue Stockings lineup and makes a shocking demand.
Cap Anson became very agitated and swore that he would not let his team take the field if there was a Black man on the roster.
So will Cap Anson's bigotry end Walker's dream of playing in the major leagues?
Ohio, 1883. The minor league baseball team, the Toledo Blue Stockings, is about to play the Chicago White Stockings. But Chicago's manager refuses to put his team on the field unless Toledo's African-American player, Moses Fleetwood Walker, is benched. So will Walker get to play ball?
Tension mounts during Cap Anson's racist tirade.
Walker was quite angry.
But the Blue Stockings manager refuses to be publicly bullied by his prejudiced opponent.
He decided that he was going to play Moses Fleetwood Walker and told Cap Anson that if his team did not take the field, then they could forfeit the day's receipts.
With his takings at risk, Anson eventually gives in and allows the game to proceed as scheduled.
You're playing, and you're up.
When Walker goes up to bat, he scores a run and plays an errorless game, and his remarkable form continues throughout the season.
Walker had an impressive year, and partially due to that, the Toledo Blue Stockings won the pennant that year.
The following season, the Toledo Blue Stockings joined the American Association, what we now call Major League Baseball. And on opening day, May 1st, 1884, Moses Fleetwood Walker proudly takes the field.
At that moment, we believe that he becomes the first African-American Major League Baseball player.
But after playing 42 games, Walker faces yet more prejudice. In 1883, African Americans are subjected to a new set of statutes passed down by the Supreme Court, the Jim Crow laws, which mandate racial segregation.
Very quickly, the United States became a very segregated nation.
And in 1887, the Major League adopts a so-called gentleman's agreement, banning black players. Walker never plays Major League Baseball again.
White mainstream historians were not interested in Walker's career at that time, and Moses Fleetwood Walker's accomplishments fade into history.
It's another 60 years before the gentleman's agreement is banned. And on April 15, 1947, Jackie Robinson plays in a professional baseball game. But instead of Walker, he is hailed as the first African-American Major League Baseball player.
But now the baseball historians are starting to realize that honor goes to Moses Fleetwood Walker.
Today, this plaque stands as a reminder of Toledo's forgotten hometown hero, a trailblazing and inspiring baseball player whose fiercest opponent was racism. New York City attracts over 50 million tourists a year and is home to some of the most iconic statues in the country. But tucked away in downtown Manhattan is a sculpture of a man that is often overlooked.
The figure is only 5'2". He's gesticulating with his hands, saying something and walking with real purpose.
This is the statue of New York Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia. Nicknamed the Little Flower, he was famous for tackling the city's problems with theatrical flair. And as Professor Douglas Muzio can attest, one of LaGuardia's greatest performances relied on an item more at home on the dinner plate than City Hall.
This man conceived and executed one of the great political stunts of New York City's history.
How did LaGuardia enact one of New York's most bizarre pieces of legislation, involving, of all things, a vegetable? 1934. New York City is in the midst of the Great Depression. Virtually a quarter of all workers are unemployed, and thousands wait in bread lines. To make matters worse, local government is riddled with corruption, fueled by a power-hungry mafia.
You have the politicians and the gangsters in real alliance here.
New Yorkers are desperate for change and elect Fiorello LaGuardia as their new mayor on the back of his promise to rid the city of the mafia.
He's gonna save the city from organized crime. He had a deep, visceral hatred for them and what they did.
The mob makes much of its income through various illegal activities, from bookmaking to bootlegging, and its insidious reach is growing.
LaGuardia wants to send this loud message that the times they are a-changing, and I'm gonna be the instrument of this change. And he recognizes that the way to hurt any business enterprise is through money.
So, on December 21st, 1935, in sub-zero temperatures, the mayor calls an impromptu press conference from the back of a delivery truck and announces he's about to shut down the mob's latest racket. But it's not speakeasies or brothels. Instead, he proclaims a citywide food emergency.
And everybody's wondering, well, what's the food emergency? And he announces that he's banning the sale, display, and distribution of miniature artichokes. What?
So why is LaGuardia banning artichokes? And what does this harmless vegetable have to do with his war on organized crime?